Hello, hello. So if you are new to the live, if you're watching this as a replay, I'm going to try to put down some, what are they called? I'm going to put down some timestamps down below in the description if you're watching this as a replay, so you can just jump ahead to the sections you may want to hear about if you hear some of the, if I don't want to see Q&A, favorite part of doing the live. So looking forward to seeing who all we have here today. Hey there, Alan. I've got multiple screens going up. You may see that I am in a different location right now. So I am filming, or I guess I'm shooting, from North Carolina. So I have come to North Carolina for Thanksgiving. And I wanted to do this on Sunday, but my Wi-Fi on Celebrity Silhouette was not what I felt going to be strong enough to make a good connection there. Let me get a thumbs up that everybody can hear me. If you can hear me, I always like to test the audio, make sure you can hear what I'm saying come through. Looks like we got a few people still coming in. And one thing I found interesting, we did a group cruise recently on the Allure of the Seas, and I found out because of the advertisements that pop up on you all's screen that, we're all kind of watching the live at different time segments. So I may be 2 seconds ahead, you may be 4 seconds ahead, and somebody may be behind. So it's just kind of funny that how these mid-rolls play out. And they even come through during the live these days. So YouTube continues to make some improvements to their advertising. Hey everybody, happy Thanksgiving. So this is my childhood home, and I know I filmed from here probably the beginning of the year, but this is one of my blackout weeks where I do not go on a cruise. I am in North Carolina this weekend, so I'm not going to be jumping on a cruise ship. I'm going to stay on land. It is one of maybe 5 times that I actually, stay close to home, I'll say, instead of jumping on a cruise or going on a land vacation. But this is the desk that I asked for is like a 12-year-old. I was in the Future Business Leaders of America, and I might have been a little bit older than 12, but I wanted a legitimate U-shaped L desk. That was always something that I wanted to aspire to, and here I am. Let's see what we got in the comments. Coming over, we've got Gopher. Thank you for letting me know that it's good. Adam's here. Hey, Adam. I probably owe you some messages. Daniel's here. Laurel's here. All sounding great. Amy's here. Celebrating Thanksgiving. Thank you all for... I almost called this a Thanksgiving Live. And then I was like, maybe people will think that it's actually supposed to be on Thursday versus on Tuesday night. So I backed off of it, though I did update my color scheme a little bit to be more orangey in light of Thanksgiving. Hey, Jen from Vegas, welcome to the chat. Pam, I assume Brett is somewhere close to you as well. Hey, guys. John Politsky, welcome. Hey, Chris. Daniel, it really is my executive suite. I think, for whatever reason, I, was doing The Secret, I guess it is, envisioning it well before it became a thing. These days, I wish my desk at work was this nice in the cubicle environment that I sit at. Hey there, DF. Let's see what you got here. So yeah, I would say MSC, people give it a really bad rap, and I'll probably wind up making a video about this at some point, but they give MSC a bad rap for some reason, and I think that part of that is the YouTube negativity cycle is what I'm going to call it. When somebody gets tagged as being not good, or you see a lot of content coming out that's not negative, that's non-positive, it's easy for other content creators to then go there and do that, because guess what you all want to see on YouTube? You want to see the worst cruise ever, the food was terrible, you want to see how rusty something is. You like seeing the bad, and that's unfortunate. I say you, I'm generalizing here. There's a lot of people that I think gravitate towards the content that is more positive, that's non-judgmental, that's just kind of sharing the facts with you, which is what I try to do. But it is really easy for content creators to fall into this hole of negativity where it's easy to fall in line with that. And I think that, that may have been the case a few years ago with MSC. I didn't take them then, but the cruises that I've been on from the Divina and now the Seaside have been really nice. Like, I've enjoyed them. And for the price point, like, what are people complaining about? Hey, Denise, the royal family's in the house. Welcome. And Sig is on what is going to be my home ship come January. So I'm going to be on the MSC Magnifica starting in January for several weekends. So excited that somebody is going before me. If you don't follow Sig's channel, make sure that you do that. She's got a lot of great content out there and is covering some cruise ships that, other people don't really cover too much. So she is a solo cruiser as well, cruising the world and seeing everything. Slotomaniac, we got a casino player in the house. Welcome. Maria, of course you would come in from Miami when I am not in Miami. I am up in North Carolina. I am missing it, but I will be back very, very soon enough. You'll have to let us know what you think of the Magnifica. I know I have a vested interest in it because I'm going there again in January for a long time. But if it's doing the overnight in Ocean Key, like, you will love it. I can't tell you all how much I really appreciated doing an overnight in Ocean Key because it takes a lot of the stress away. You don't have to run off the ship. You're not trying to get a great chair. You don't have to come back at any particular time. I mean, stay out there for sunset. That's my favorite time to be on Ocean Key. And then guess what? If you want to, you can go back out there tomorrow. Most people on the second day will not get off the ship though, so you're going to have your pick of chairs come the second day. It'll be a lot quieter there, but I love it over at Ocean Key. Notice it is Ocean Key and not Ocean K. So Coco K is the only place where you would say K. In this case, it's Key. I get it wrong all the time, but just a little bit of nuances in the cruise industry. Cruise recommendations near Port Everglades. Daniel, when I used to travel down, and this is going back 5 or 6 years now, I would stay at I think there's a Hampton Inn in downtown, which is where I stayed at. It depends on what your budget's going to be. There's a lot of options on where you can stay. The Hampton Inn in downtown was always the one that I found to be the cheapest. They've got some closer to the port, but Fort Lauderdale is not that big of a city, so anything you get will be pretty close. There's some others on 17th Street that are also a really good, reasonable price and close to the ship. If you're looking at spending a little bit more money, head over to the beach. They've got a lot of great places over in Fort Lauderdale Beach that you can stay at. That's it's higher price, but it's cheaper than Miami Beach at least. So you can check those out. Hey there, Lisa. And thank you for this, Maria. When I set out to make content on YouTube, it's kind of something that I very early on said I am not going to be jumping the shark every single episode on YouTube. And so I really do try to stay positive and educational. There's even, and I'd love to take this course, there's a course out there by one of the big name not cruise bloggers, just bloggers in general, called Edutainers. And so it talks about how can you make educational content entertaining. And that's what I go for. But I've never been trained in it. It's just kind of what I do. Hey there, Andrew. We got Ben coming in. Jen is loving the idea of the sunset at Ocean Key. It is by far one of my favorite things there. Yeah, I mean, alone, Ocean Key saves MSC. If you don't like MSC's food, the Ocean Key is their saving grace. Like, it's absolutely fine. And by the way, the Ocean Key serves the same exact food that Royal Caribbean serves at their different grills that they have, Captain Jack's Grill and all of those. It is the same kind of food. So everybody wants to say that their food is bad. It's the same food, same quality. Though there will be a difference when you go on the Ocean Key. They've got upcharging trailers, I guess they are, food trucks that are serving lobster rolls or clam rolls and some really good things that you can get for an upcharge if that's what you want. The problem with MSC, I'll say, is their lines can be a little bit long. I've always gone back to the ship because when I get hungry, I'm ready to eat. I'm not wanting to stand in the line, and so I've often just come back to the ship. Hey, Royal Caribbean fan. Thank you and welcome. And yes, so I do have an Instagram account. So if you all are not following me on, various places and spaces, Instagram is certainly one of those that I post a good number of pictures to. Another one that we post, or that I'm using more these days, trying to, is my Facebook page. So I've linked down, I think I put it in the link below. Let me see. I might need to grab that and hand it over to you all. So there is a Facebook page that I'm trying to put a little bit different content out there as well. So I'll put that in the comment section for us. So if you want to go there, follow the Facebook page. I'm actually streaming for the very first time to the Facebook page as well. So hello everybody over on Facebook. If you are watching there, let me know in the comments. I'd love to know that those comments from Facebook are coming into my comment stream as well. And all of the names, by the way, on any platform you're going to find me, The Weekend Cruiser. So whatever it is, it's one word, The Weekend Cruiser, and you'll find me on all of the platforms. Yeah, William, I can definitely understand that. I will say, it took me a while after turning Pinnacle to get that itch to want to go somewhere else because I felt like I had it good on Royal Caribbean. But there definitely comes a point where you kind of feel like you've done it. I am really enjoying being able to go to other cruise lines such as Celebrity, which is a natural fit for, a Royal Caribbean person. Going over to Celebrity, going over to Virgin, going to MSC. It's keeping it fresh. And so there's some awesome things. I love having a home ship, knowing how everything operates, knowing what's going to go on, knowing the crew. But there's also something kind of neat to not having a clue where you're going, to getting on a ship and being like, where's the dining room? And that to me is just keeping it interesting, keeping it, I'd say youthful almost might be the right. I want to learn. I want to still have those experiences where I'm kind of thrown into a neat spot. So I totally get that. What cruise line has really good food? If you're looking for good food, of the four that I really specialize in, Virgin Voyages, Celebrity Cruise Lines. Virgin to me has the best food, and then right behind that's going to be Celebrity. And they take two different complete approaches to their food menus, but you've got some really great options between the two of those. Price point might be what drives this for you. I think for the price point these days, Celebrity's crushing it. Hey, Dino. Welcome. It is time for all of our snowbirds to be coming down almost, about one more month. Do I think MSC is a better value for the money over Royal Caribbean? Absolutely. That is an easy one for me right now. And the reason that I say that, I don't know if you've checked Royal Caribbean prices recently, but they've gone crazy. They are through the roof. And that's really, I was talking earlier about changing up cruise lines and keeping it fresh. That was part of it. But the main driver why I started looking outside of Royal Caribbean, and I still love Royal Caribbean, is that I just got to where I couldn't afford it on a weekly basis anymore because the prices were through the roof. Not even just on the new ships. I mean, if you're trying to get on Icon, you're looking at $40,000 easily this first year. But even their other ones are pricing at significant premiums, and I haven't found a good deal that I want to book. But I am finding tremendous value on MSC. So when I think of the experience of what I'm paying, if I choose to do MSC over Royal, the trade-off is, if I paid the extra money to go to Royal Caribbean, if I paid, at this point, it's coming in for a weekend, like $600, $800 for a weekend, difference in price to get me on Royal Caribbean. Is Royal Caribbean that much better than MSC? And the answer to that to me is hands down no. I think MSC is extremely well priced. I don't think that their prices are here to stay, I'll say that, because I just don't think that it's a fantastic business model, but they are a private company. They are trying to break into the Americas market, really make a footprint here, and they're doing that by trying to undercut everybody, and I am here for it personally. I'm all about competition in the corporate world and them being able to come in and offer some really good prices, and I would hope keep the other cruise lines in check, but that's not necessarily seeming to work because I keep hearing of people paying these astronomical prices for a cruise, and kudos on them if they can do that, if they want to do that. No hate. It's just for me in my situation these days, I have to look elsewhere. Great to know, Pam. So hello everybody over on Facebook. I think this is great that I have two live streams going out at the same time. Hey, Aaron. When was my first cruise? Let me actually pull up my spreadsheet here, and I can tell you. My first one was 2009. It was on the Carnival Fantasy, which has been scrapped at this point, and she was an old ship then. But that was my first sailing, was on Carnival Fantasy, and it took me until 2015 to go on another cruise because I remember walking around the ship. Hold on. I had some chocolate covered peanuts before I came up here, and I think I got some stuck in my throat. I remember going on my very first cruise on Carnival, and the Fantasy is a small ship. Like, I want to say she's probably around, what, 60, 70,000 gross tons? She's teeny. But I remember walking around it with the person that I was cruising with, and within, an hour, we walked around the ship. We went back to the room, and we're kind of like, now what? What do we do? Luckily, I should say luckily, unluckily, that was the same day that you had the Miracle on the Hudson with the captain who landed the plane in the Hudson with U.S. Airways. And we were big U.S. Airways people, so that's what we were flying. And it just come through there. So we were able to watch the news and stay entertained, but that just wasn't, it didn't vibe with me for that point in my life. But fast forward in 2015 when I went again, I fell head over heels after I got it. Some of my good friends convinced me it was a good time to go, that I should try it out. So Liberty was actually my first cruise with Royal Caribbean. And then next thing you know, me and the parents are going to Alaska, having a blast on the Explorer this season. It's just snowballed. So when I went all in, Aaron. I think given everything that's out there, people's opinions, and mine certainly is not the only one by any stretch, Joe. So I actually love it. People come into the comments and they will just basically blatantly be like, you are absolutely wrong. And I love that, actually. I am probably one of the few people that love for somebody to come in the comments and tell me how wrong I am, because my opinion is not the only one. And I've come to be very humbled by the thought that you all are making your decisions based on the content that you're seeing on these platforms. And so I want to make sure that you're getting a well-rounded view. I'm going to try to do that when I'm bringing you content. My experience, well-rounded. But there's other people that have had different experiences. We all cruise different. We have different expectations. And so I love to see other people come in and say, hey, the food at MSC, it's not great. I just personally haven't experienced that when I've been there. And for the cost, I'm not expecting a Michelin-starred restaurant on MSC. So I think that the best thing that I'll say here, Joe, is find yourself a good weekend cruise on MSC, whether it's a Thursday to Sunday that they do on the seashore like I did, or you might want to come over to the Magnifica in January throughout I think they're doing it for like 4 or 5 months. She's going to be doing 3 and 4s. Find yourself a good $300 weekend cruise. Jump on board. What do you have to lose at that point? Brett, I think this is probably falling in. Everybody's doing this at this point. And we're going to talk about this a little bit later on when we get into the gratuities section. I'm going to talk about why people do that, or why the cruise lines are doing that. Daniel, there is, at this point, no chance that I'm going to be trying Holland anytime soon. My current strategy is, number one, I got to stick with short cruises, because welcome to my life, keeping a job outside of this. I do need to be in an office environment 3 days a week, so I can't go on a lot of long sailings. So Holland only offers long sailing. I do look to see if there's 3, even a 4-night random sailing here and there. When I'm booking my calendar, I try to get on different ships, but it doesn't always play out. There's some go-tos such as Royal, Carnival, MSC, Celebrity these days, and NCL every now and again will do a weekend that I very easily can jump onto. So I really would say that I specialize in those. And I'm more recent to Celebrity, to MSC, and Virgin. I've not done by far as many cruises as I've done with Royal Caribbean. And so I'm really branching out and trying to become not an expert. I don't know that I'll ever be an expert, because there's so many of you that know way more than I do. But I want to be able to, very easily speak to the different cruise lines. And if I went to so many of them, I would just worry that everything would just be mixing together and I'd be getting it all wrong. You are correct. So some sailings, I've noticed this as well, and I've almost made a video calling out Royal Caribbean on this. I've not noticed it with Celebrity yet. But We talk about the single supplement. So if you are a solo cruiser, you know that that is like 90% of my cruises. I go by myself and I love it. But the downside of that is they market and sell these rooms based on double occupancy. So if I am one person in a room, I am paying for a second person, whether they come or they don't come. So when I price out for a single, oftentimes you're going to see that rate is 200% of what it should be. So if you're looking at, two people in the room, they're going to give you, let's say, $500. If I look at it as a solo person, it's going to tell me that it is 1,000. But you got to be careful these days, and you have to do what I call a ghost booking. You always got to check that out, because a lot of the times, I shouldn't say a lot, I am seeing more frequently that they are charging you not just for that extra person, they're charging you for that extra person and then some. So the single supplement is going from 200%, which is normal, that's the going rate, to 225 to 250%. So it actually is cheaper if you have a phantom booking, put a random person on there. So it's you and then rando person number 2, and they'll give you the cheaper rate versus it being just one person and then the other person's a no-show. Work with the travel agent on that. That is what I would call an advanced strategy. I'm not even sure if you're supposed to do it or you can do it, but it's something that I have done in the past to avoid paying the extra that is there. On Royal Caribbean, the benefit at having more than 340 points in their current anchor is you're only going to be charged the 150%. So it is like paying for 1.5, not a full second person. You're only paying for half of it, which has saved me a lot of money. But if I can find cruises where that's not happening these days, like MSC, I'm booking cruises for $250, $300 on the weekends. And I just booked a ton of solo cabins. And by the way, I've got a solo cabin video on the Silhouette coming up that I just stayed in this weekend. I've booked like 6 or 7 of those for 2025 already. There's only 4 on the ship, and I got really lucky in being able to grab a few of those, but it was $250 when a normal interior cabin was going for like $700, $800. So you are able to find some of those good solo deals, but you got to be able to plan in advance and really look around. The new terminal there is huge. You are correct. So Sean is talking here about, if you've been to Terminal A, where Royal Caribbean sails out of, the very western side, or eastern side, I should say, of Dodge Island, they're building a very large cruise terminal there. And the reason they're doing that is you've got, number one, the World America ship coming over, and that is an Oasis class style ship. It is from the same shipyard. And for those people that I've heard that have been on the World Europa, which is the namesake of the class, if you will, it is an Oasis class ship. It's designed different. It feels different on the inside, but it looks the exact same when you get there. That you've got the hallways, the neighborhoods, all that great stuff. So it needs to fit an Oasis class ship, which is really interesting. And I think they're also going to be sharing this terminal, I believe this is accurate, with Disney Cruise Line. So you're going to have 2 different cruise lines that are going to use this. Though MSC, I think, is going to have like 6 ships or something like that sailing out of Florida coming up. So they're making a really good impact there. Denise, this is a great question here. So one thing that ebbs and flows is the staffing when you get on board a cruise ship. So I tell people all the time, like, the cruise that you go on, and this is why I love hearing everybody else's opinion. My cruise that I went on last weekend is going to be different than the cruise you're going to go on next weekend, and it's different than the cruise that was before me. Because there's so many variables to what creates a good cruise. Staffing of crew members is absolutely part of that. You may go where, a few people just signed off and a lot of people didn't call in or didn't make it to the ship. There's all sorts of variables. I will say that I'm a little bit more, immune to staffing shortages, because I think the place most people get a little annoyed here, Denise, is at the bar. In getting that bar service, I think that's where most people get annoyed, if they have to stand in line and wait for a drink, and I'm honestly just not doing that. And I know the lounges in Royal are running a little bit slow these days as well. But in the dining rooms and places like that, I've not seen it be as much of a problem. Virgin can be better at single rates. So somebody was telling me, and I don't know that I've verified this yet, but they've got like 40 solo cabins there. But even their solo or studio cabins are normally about 150%. But their single rate does save you some money if they're doing that. I know they did it over in the Mediterranean for a long time. And it ebbs and flows. Like, you really got to make sure that you're following where those deals are. So if you're not on the Facebook page, we talked about that early on, that's where I'll post any kind of solo deal. If somebody comes out making an announcement that they're not going to be charging that double supplement, or it's, buy one, get one free, I'm going to be telling you all about it on the Facebook page. And she was probably an old ship back in 1999 too there, Matt. I feel like she's been around the block for a while. So, Alice, this is going to go to show that negative feedback loop that I talked about at the early onset of this. I think Margaritaville falls into it as well. I've not been there, but to an extent, I go, can it be as bad as everybody's making it out to be? I see, about 10% of people say, hey, it's a great experience, and then other 90% that say that it's absolutely horrible. For the price, I'm willing to check it out. I've emailed their social media team. They're not looking on taking on any partnerships at this point, probably because social media has not been kind to them. They have not trended well on TikTok or YouTube or any of the platforms that are out there. But I would like to try Margaritaville at Sea. Interestingly enough, they just posted, and I did put this in the Facebook group, not the Facebook page, or maybe I did it in both. But they are going to start doing 3-night sailings now. They're going to start doing legitimate weekend cruises. So I am really excited to have another option. I might not go in it very much. First of all, it's out of West Palm, which is even farther for me to go to. But I think that having more options will keep prices in check a little bit. So we'll see how that plays out. Maybe there'll be a group cruise on it one of these days. Take all the rooms. A 4-day from Long Beach. Laura, that could only have gone, I guess, to Bermuda and back. That's a quick trip right there. I did one 4-night on the Anthem of the Seas back in 2017, and we had literally 6 hours in port. From the time that we were able to get off to the time that all aboard was 6 hours. We stayed there and we came back. Luckily, I found an amazing tour guide there. Bayside, I think it's Bayway Travel. That was like a host that would take you around the island. I found great reviews of her, and she is truly great, and they still are in business these days. Yeah, Joe, if you're hesitant about MSC, I definitely recommend go the weekend route. I mean, check it out, see what you think. If you like it or think that it's not that bad for the price, you can always book another one. Ooh, MSC to Celebrity here, Lisa Ann, that's a tough comparison. And I say that because they're in two different classes. So when you think of Celebrity Cruise Lines, it's a premium cruise line. Now look, I know that there's people that take Celebrity that will tell you these days that she's not a premium cruise line anymore. The Summit, the Silhouette, and the Infinity that I've been on these days, I will tell you she still feels like a premium cruise line to me. And maybe that's because Royal Caribbean might be sliding down a little bit, which is what I compare it to. So Royal's supposed to be a mass market cruise line, meaning a lot of people can go there and it is a good value. That is the same with MSC. So when you look at MSC, it is a mass market cruise line. And some people might even call it a budget cruise line these days. And so it's not necessarily fair, I think, to compare MSC with Celebrity. Now, if you are Diamond on Royal, you will transfer over your status with a reciprocal agreement to Elite within the Captain's Club that Celebrity has. But what I'll tell you is there's not a lot of huge benefits that come to that. You get a happy hour and you get a coffee in the morning, and that's about your benefits. And you get 90 minutes of premium internet, which for a 7-night cruise, that's not really a lot of time to be able to use the internet. So, I would say that the benefits there aren't that great. You can also, if you're worried about status and getting perks, you can take that Diamond status over to MSC and they will status match you into their program. So you don't have to start from scratch in MSC's model if that's where you want to go to. Joseph, so this is a good, you all are chatting up a storm today. I love it. So this is a good transition point for me, though, to talk through, how was my Celebrity? So I am newer to Celebrity, and I wanted to share with you all kind of what my review of Celebrity has been. So I did 3 sailings, all of them 4 nights on Celebrity within the past 4 weekends, taking 1 weekend off to go to the Allure of the Seas. And I've really enjoyed Celebrity. It's kind of surprised me that I've enjoyed it and liked it so much, because I think I've heard a lot of people, back to our points on we hear all these opinions and thoughts, talking how Celebrity's food has suffered, the crew has suffered, the quality's come down. And I think that that might be true throughout all the lines, but their quality to me has still been a step up. I've still really enjoyed my time on Celebrity. So I did 2 sailings on the Celebrity Summit for 4 nights each, and I did 1 sailing on the Celebrity Silhouette, which I really enjoyed. So let's chat through some of the things that I liked and pull up my notes here. All right, so the ship layout, let's start there. So I did both the Summit and the Silhouette. The Summit's like the small sister of the Silhouette, and it's a bit older of a ship. But she is beautiful, you all. She was renovated in 2019, and the Celebrity Summit is just a beautiful room. I don't know if you've seen my video yet where I showed you my interior cabin, which I could legitimately live in. It is that nice. All I needed was like a legitimate fridge, a hot plate of some kind, a stove, and I would have been in business to live in there. It was so well decorated, so well organized. I really liked it. And I stayed in a second one that I got to get that video out to you. But I loved it. Same on the Silhouette. I would say the Silhouette's interior common spaces are more renovated than the room that I stayed in. But I did stay in that solo inside cabin. So I think to a degree, that could have been a hindsight. I think they took like some extra space in a hallway and basically said, you know what? We can get some more revenue out of this square footage here. And so they turned it into solo inside cabins. And it wasn't as well decorated as the Summit. The carpet was still nice, bathroom was fine, but it still had a little bit older of a vibe to it, which I tried to peek into some of the other staterooms to see how theirs were like when they were being cleaned and the door was open. I tried to peek into a few of them and, was able to find, I think that that's probably the color scheme that they all have, but I really liked it. The thing that I liked on Silhouette is they added a few extra outdoor spaces, and I love my outdoor space. If I can get out there and read, sitting in the shade somewhere, that's what I'm going to try to do. And so where I went to was the Sunset Bar, which is in the aft section of the ship, which I really appreciated. Have some great chairs there, a good bit of shade that you can take in, and they had the lawn. This is one that I thought was more of a novelty option, where they have grass. Like if you want fresh cut grass, you can go to Celebrity, and you can find that on a cruise ship. But it wasn't really well utilized. Nobody sat on the grass. You didn't want to mess it up. They had some areas around it that you could rent out for like $300 for the day. Did not sign up for that. And they played they played a movie. They had a sports game going on. But there's really not that many people there watching it. But I did like it a lot. The entertainment on these ships was... how do I phrase this? So the performers themselves and the songs that they had were absolutely fine. They were great. The stage setup for Celebrity I found to be a bit sparse. It's more cabaret style where they've got 2 chairs, they've got 1 table, they've got a few podiums, and that's it. The rest of the time, they're working with a pretty blank slate. And, I think that I missed having a little bit more of a stage presence to bring to life what they were doing. There wasn't necessarily, like if you're on Royal Caribbean, for instance, you have... Let's go with Once Upon a Time, which will walk you through several different fairy tales. With the shows on Celebrity, there was really no connection to anything. They just kind of strung together some songs and sung them. The only one that I would say kind of had a little bit was Life, the production show that they did there. Some great music, but again, very loosely tied together to kind of make a storyline, but I'm not sure that I really bought into it. The performers themselves were fantastic, so I really enjoyed being able to hear them. Just wish there was a little bit more stage presence to it. The food on board Celebrity. I know this is a hot topic for a lot of you. First of all, their buffet, they put some really nice things out on their buffet, which surprised me a lot. You've got clams, you had shrimp, you had prime rib. They had really good stuff on their buffet for lunch and for dinner. And the variety that you could get there was actually really good. Their main dining room was extremely consistent. That is one thing that I've learned. We talked about this a little bit earlier on sailings are different from time to time. I found from all of my sailings that I did on 2 different cruise ships that the consistency was really there and the food was a higher quality than what I am accustomed to. It was extremely well presented. It looked pretty, y'all. When they brought it to me, I was like, oh, this is going to be good just from looking at it. Like the beet salad that I get there, one of my favorites. I wish there was more beets on it, but when you make things pretty, you can't pile it up in a huge bowl on your plate. But I really like their food a lot. Their desserts were really good in their main dining room as well. I think there was one night on the Silhouette that they had just, I didn't really like their food. So I was like, let me go up to the buffet, check that out for the evening, and that was fine. It was still really good food. It's similar stuff that you would have found in the dining room. The people on board the Celebrity ship. This is something that took me a little bit by surprise here. And I'm going to say this with kindness and with love. It was a much more senior demographic than what I was expecting. So, and I don't fault them for that. I knew that it was going to be more senior. I just don't think that I anticipated it to be as senior as it was. The average age to me was probably 65, 70 years old on Celebrity, and there was nobody 40 and under. I was a spring chicken on there, which was kind of neat, to walk around and being like, I'm the baby. But I kind of missed having a little bit more energy. There were a few people in the 30s and 40s there, but the bread and butter, I mean, like 70 to 80% of the folks were 60 and up. And that is, again, not bad. What that's going to translate to in what you can expect is, number one, a lot of people woke up really early. I'm still trying to get used to this time change thing. And so I was getting coffee at 7 in the morning. There's a line already at 7 in the morning on a cruise ship. People should be sleeping in. The second thing you're going to find is people didn't get off the ship in Nassau. We went into Nassau and the ship stayed a little bit more crowded. Normally when you're on a different cruise line, most of the people get off the ship still. On Celebrity, most of those people, they stuck around. They felt like they had been to Nassau. They'd done it before. And so they stayed on the ship. I'll say another thing that you run into, and what was my third point that I was going to say here? Oh, the overall energy level. So when I think of, energy on a ship, it is much more of a relaxing environment. It is a pull out your book and read. It is a sit there and meditate. You're not going to find loud parties. If anything, they love their silent disco on Celebrity. They do it. And on 4-night sailing, we had the silent disco twice. One in their main Centrum area and then one up in the Sky Lounge at the very forward section of the ship, which is an awesome experience, by the way. If you can go to the Sky Lounge for the silent disco, it's a wonderful experience. But even that's quiet because it's a silent disco, right? It's just not a loud ship. Whereas if I think of a Virgin Voyages here, I would say that they are a little bit younger of a demographic. They're probably coming in at more 45 to 55, and they're a high energy cruise line. So if you're looking at going on Virgin Voyages or comparing Celebrity to Virgin Voyages, which by the way, I'm giving you all some inside scoop on an upcoming video that I've made, Virgin is going to be high energy. And what I mean by that is you're going to have more upbeat music, more louder music. You're going to have more energetic people who are just bopping around and overall just that higher energy. It doesn't mean that it's a binge party fest or that it is an over-the-top party crowd. When I say that Virgin is a party crowd, they're still 50 and 55-year-old party crowd. It is not a 20-something party crowd. So I think that, they kind of got off on the wrong foot when they started out, but that's my initial thought there. I will say, and Denise, this will go back to kind of your question before on the crew. I found the crew on Celebrity to be a lot more, what's the word I want to go for here? Not patient, but a lot more, they weren't as rushed, I guess, or hurried. They actually would come, spend time with you. They would talk with you more. And so there was this kind of progression to all that was happening. Hey, you want to come over here? I have a visitor that's coming in my room. This is my niece. So I only got here yesterday. Wave to everybody, Josie. Wave. This is my niece who came over to see her Uncle Brandon. Can't wait to get her on a cruise ship. You want to go on a cruise? Can you say yes?
Yes.
Yes? That'd be fun. All right, let me have you go back downstairs. I'm talking with some of my friends on the computer. All right, so sorry about that, but she's adorable. Couldn't say no. So with that, I see the energy on Virgin being a lot more upbeat, a lot more energetic. On Celebrity, you're looking at a really relaxing time, which isn't a bad thing. I found that my cruising style kind of appreciates both of those. There's some times that I'm like, can I just read a book? I just want to sit in a corner and not talk to anybody. And then there's other times where I'm like, hey, is there something going on past 10:30? Like, I think I might have a coffee and stay up a little bit later tonight. Then I'm going to look towards Virgin Voyages for that. But overall, had a really solid time. All right, let's come back over here to the comment section, and you all are going quick. I know you all saw my video that I did with Matt Hochberg and the Royal Caribbean blog, which, by the way, thank you for watching that. I am a huge fan of Matt and the Royal Caribbean blog. I would tell you all to go ahead and subscribe to his channel, but I'm pretty confident 98% of you probably already subscribed to his channel because he's got amazing content. But I went into one of his live streams a week or two ago, and he had close to 1,000 people there, and his comment section was just brrr, and I mean, I was getting seasick just watching all the comments come through and trying to keep up. So I don't know how he does that. I should have to ask him at some point if you all keep this level of engagement up. I love it, by the way. So welcome to the Thanksgiving chat. I'm glad you all decided to spend the evening with me. And I get this question every live stream. I think that it's kind of hilarious. And so I even asked Matt in the interview that I did, am I going on the icon? And the answer to that is hands down, no. No desire, not going to do it, don't want to do it. The prices for it, first of all, are ridiculous. And so I can't literally put a car payment, and that's a full outright car payment, like just to buy the entire thing, onto a cruise ship for 1 week. Like, I just don't think that'd be a smart thing for me to do. So I'm not going to be there. I'm not going to be there the first year. And at the rate that the prices are going, I'm not going to be there the second year either. I will eventually go there to check the box and say, yep, I've done it. But I have no desire to go right now. I am, however, on the Utopia of the Seas, the forgotten, sister ship, if you will. That is the next Oasis class to come out. I will be on her a few months after she comes out when the prices come down, but I'm excited to be on that one. Hey, Joe, and thank you for that. When you have somebody like Matt, it is super easy to talk to them, interview them, and I had a little bit of a script. You probably saw me looking at it, but at the end of the day, like, we could just chat. Somebody was saying they wish that it would have gone longer because we probably could have easily talked for 40 minutes. And I was like, between me and Matt, we probably could do a marathon of 48 hours straight where we just talk about cruises the entire time. Which would be something pretty cool. Maybe that'll be like a nonprofit fundraiser we do, is like a 48-hour cruise vlog, if you will. That might be something fun to do. Kind of, I don't know where you all are from, if they used to do rockathons where you would rock in a chair overnight, basically, for 24 hours, and you'd raise money to do that. Maybe that's just me. I don't know. On the Santa cruise line, I've not heard of those, or Santa, but it would not surprise me if they flagged you, because there's a reason they're charging extra money. Us solo people, if we go by ourselves, just don't make the same kind of revenue that two people in the room do. So I understand why they don't want to do it. I just wish that there was more of a fair way to do it, if you will, and that the solo cruiser didn't wind up feeling so penalized. But totally hear you on that, Laurel. What is my favorite complimentary food item on Celebrity? My favorite one, so that beet salad that I referenced was super good. They also have a butternut squash soup in the main dining room as an appetizer, and they have a pear soup as well. That's chilled, it's cold, but it's really good. Those are some of my favorite things that I had there. No, I shouldn't have taken that down, Nelson. The full ship walking tour of the Summit is up. The full ship walking tour of the Silhouette, I'm going to put into, start editing that this week. So hopefully I'll have that coming up. At least I don't think that it's gone down. Somebody let Sean know in the comments if that's still around. It should be. Alan, yeah, that's a good call out there. So if you book a cruise with Royal Caribbean and you go by yourself and you book it as a solo cruiser, you will get what they say double points. So you'll get 1 point for every cruise night, and you get 1 point for every night for being solo. However, if at any time you have two people in that cabin, whether it's a fake made up person or not, they're only going to give you 1 point. My question in this case, Alan, would be, how much are those points worth to you? I think I did the math at some point and said that the free cruise makes them worth about $7 each. So per point, it's about $7. And I think that might be the junior suite number if I had to quickly remember the math. So it comes down to me on what's the point worth, what is your status worth to you, and are those extra points worth you paying that much of a premium at that time? I am glad you made it to the live stream. I'm trying out some different times. So I've learned I don't like doing the live streams on the cruise ships because, number one, the Wi-Fi is not great. The quality you're seeing is not excellent. And it takes me away from enjoying my cruise. And so I'm trying to find more times. I already sit in my room probably way too much and work on YouTube because I love doing this stuff, you all. Like, I don't think you know how much I enjoy coming on here, chatting with you, and making this content. But I need to make sure that I'm also still experiencing the cruise. Like, you don't want to hear me talking about making YouTube videos in my room for 4 hours on the sea day. I need to be out there experiencing it, learning what those best practices are so I can bring them back. So I'm trying to do that a lot more for you all. What do I think of the older ships? I love the older ships. I am very concerned for them because I think it's Whoopi Goldberg who said, "You in danger, girl." I think that they might not be long for this world because Royal Caribbean is adding so much to their fleet, the size of the ships they're building. The smaller ships cost a lot of money to maintain. They don't drive the same amount of revenue. So I'm really worried for their longevity within the fleet at this point, but I do really appreciate the smaller ships. I think I did one video that is done fantastic, by the way, on, was it Brilliance of the Seas? I want to say is what it was. And the headline that I had for it was, "Older is Beautiful." And I love the old school style ships like that. They don't build them like that anymore. And I miss it. I really enjoyed the old school ships. Number one, they can get into better ports because they don't have size restrictions. But the way that they're designed, the ease of meeting people, I really enjoyed it. There's this also rumor going around. I'm going to call it a rumor. A captain has been told to have talked about a discovery class. Royal Caribbean building a small ship class. I will tell you all, and I've said this before on the channel, do not believe that. Royal Caribbean has never, in the history of all Royal Caribbean ships, made a ship that was smaller than the previous ship. Every ship has always been at least a meter longer. And so I don't see small ships fitting into their business model at this time. If anything, I'd say that's Celebrity, that's Silver Sea, but it makes absolutely no sense for a mass market Royal Caribbean cruise line to start focusing in on small ships. So take that with a grain of salt, if you will. Hey there, David Oyster. Going through the comments here. I don't think they are either, Adam, and I know that you stay up to date on this as well. If you're looking for a really good resource, by the way, to search for cruises, whether you're going as a solo or not, but I think especially for solos, check out cruiseplum.com. Not sponsored by them. It's just a website that's really helpful. Lots of different filters that you can use if you want advanced search functionality. Cruiseplum.com is fantastic. And if you know anybody over at Cruiseplum, would love to talk to the people there because I actually do like their tool a lot. All right, so Mr. Joe, let's talk about this. I've been in the comments a lot, but this is a good transition into all things group cruises. So we've now done 2 official weekend cruiser group cruises, and I am super excited to talk to you about the next version of group cruises that are out there. And I'm trying to plan well in advance at this point. You all know I asked a ton of questions. I wanted to see what all was out there, what you want to do, and you are not letting me down. What you said you wanted to do, you're now signing up for it. So the first thing I'll say is the early notice went out to those people that are on the newsletter. So if you have not done so already, make sure that you're going down to the description of this video and you're checking out the Weekend Cruise newsletter sign up. So this will give you the latest and greatest if there's price changes, things I need to let you know about. This is where I'm going to be going to say, hey, consider coming on a group cruise. We'd love to have you come on a group cruise. I can't tell you how much fun we've had. I know there's a lot of people in the chat here who have been on the group cruises with us, and we're turning out to be, a really tight bunch group of folks. But with that being said, we're accepting of other people. So we had on the second one additional people who joined us, some people that couldn't join us, and we were still such a happy, inclusive environment. And so, first of all, I think that fits this channel. It fits you all, the audience that you are, the community that you are, and it is a really good time. It is a great mix and makeup of people. So if you are considering coming with us, we would love to have you. So let's talk about when they are. So I made some fancy looking little slides here that you can take a look at. Apologies if this font is really big. If you're on the newsletter, you'll get it mailed out to you. So you can read it or blow it up there. But the first one that we're going to be doing, and this, somebody was just asking me this in the Facebook group, are the Celebrity do any short cruises? And they absolutely are going to start doing more short cruises. So you've got the Celebrity Reflection on May 3rd, which is her inaugural sailing. We had such a fun time on the Allure of the Seas for her inaugural sailing. We thought we'd rinse and repeat, and we were going to use the same kind of formula. We're now going to go over to MSC's, not, excuse me, MSC's, the Celebrities Reflection. This is what happens when you take too many cruise lines. We're going to Celebrity Reflection on May 3rd for 2024. We do have some awesome group rates that are here as well. And on the Celebrity sailing, it's also going to come with Wi-Fi as well as your classic beverage package. Those are going to be included. It's going to be going to Coco Cay and to Nassau, Bahamas is where it's going to be going to. So it's going to be a similar weekend cruise itinerary that you're used to seeing on this channel. It's the same itinerary Royal Caribbean is doing for their weekend sailings. But we're going to do it in a more sophisticated environment of Celebrity Cruise Lines. And so I'm really anxious and excited to see, how does Celebrity Weekend cruise? I think it'll be really neat to see what is their version, what person is going to go on their ship. I want to bet that the average age is going to drop significantly than what I've been experiencing on the 4 nights, but I could be totally wrong on that. So the rates that we have here are for double occupancy. So it is $562 all in, $652 and $669 for concierge, which is a really good price, by the way. If you want concierge, that's a really good rate for it, and not that much more than just getting an ocean view balcony at that point. So taxes not included in that, gratuities not included in that, and as always, prices can change. Now, if you don't want Wi-Fi, you don't want the classic beverage package, let us know, and we'll be able to price that out for you as just the cruise only fare, and you would not get any of those perks. The second one we can go on. So if that's too soon for you, I wanted to make sure for all of you planners that are out there like myself, we had something for you. And I know that most of you, your favorite cruise line, Royal Caribbean. So we are going to be doing a 4-night sailing on Independence of the Seas, my second favorite ship. And I am super excited for this. She's going to be sailing out of Miami and is going to be going to Labadee, Haiti. So it is not a traditional weekend itinerary. It's going to give us 2 sea days. And so far we've gotten really good responses from the Independence of the Seas, people wanting to go on it. So we do have limited group space here. We got as much as we could, but these rates that you see may go pretty quick. So make sure that you are, and I'll give you the form that you can fill out in a bit to show you where to go to register for these group cruises. But the prices, again, are pretty good for a weekend sailing, or not a weekend, but a 4-night sailing on the Independence of the Seas out of Miami. So you'll see that it is, if you want an interior, it is significantly cheaper than what you're going to find over on the Celebrity Cruise Line. So you've got options. It is 4 nights. That is something that you all asked for. I was kind of shocked by how many people said, you know what, I don't want to do a weekend cruise, Brandon. Like, it's just way too quick. Let's do 4 nights. Like 80% of you said 4 nights was the way to go, and you are signing up for it. So it's shaping up to be a fantastic group. But I think that the Celebrity one will also be an amazing time. So you can come with us on both of those. So let me now show you how to sign up for that. So if I come over here, and I'm going to share my screen. And the link is going to be in the description down below as well. But if you click on the group cruise registration, that is going to take you to this page here. So join us for a group cruise. I would absolutely love to have you. As many of you know, when you book a group cruise or go on a group cruise, you have to go through one travel agent. So this is the rules of the cruise lines, nothing I've made up. But in order for us to dine together, get event space together, if we want to do a happy hour, maybe some onboard credit, because we get enough people to sign up, we have to do that through one travel agency, and we can't have everybody booking with their own person. I do apologize for that. I love my travel agents, so I hate taking you away from the people you traditionally use, but in this case, we do need to use one travel agent. Also, if you go through the casino, you can book it on your own and then forward it over to us, and I think we can see if we can move that into the group. I don't know if that works as well, but the travel agent, if you are a casino player, check with the travel agent by filling out this form. Let them know in the additional notes that you have casino comps or whatever certificates you need to use, and we can see if we can do those. I'm thinking it's doubtful, but I'd rather him verify that than me. So all we need is your name, number, email, and he's going to get up with you. It's Rand Cohen is who we're using, the travel agent that I personally use, and he's fantastic. He's wonderful. He responds very quickly. So put all your information here. When's the best time for him to reach out? Which cruise you're interested in, and he'll get with you on the individual rates that you can expect for that. So you might say, Brandon, like, I really just want the Royal Suite on the Independence. Like, that balcony is good and great, but I want the Royal Suite. He will be able to let you know, number one, if it's still available. Chances are it's not. And what the price is going to be if you want a different version of a suite or a different level. We do have those to offer as well. So I will say, first of all, if you've not checked out the Weekend Cruiser website, make sure you go there just to hang out, see it, click through it a little bit. It's got some fun stuff. I have found that through being a YouTuber, I am also a website designer these days. So welcome to my creation. This is all that I've kind of put together. And if you come here to sign up for group emails, if you have not already done this, this is where you sign up to stay in the loop on all things group cruises. So I'm going to be reaching out directly to your inbox, letting you know where we're going, what we're doing, has the price changed. This is where you're going to find all of that at. Then if you come up here, we've got a drop down. If you forget, you go, gee, Brandon, what did you say those cruises were? If you come up here to the 2024 group cruises, you'll see both of these listed, where they're going, the prices, and all that great information that we talked about before. As always, the fares can change. The group rates, for the most part, are locked in. But if you're looking at booking something different, those are going to be shifting around all the time. And more than likely, it's going to go up the closer we get, especially that celebrity sailing, as it's coming up sooner rather than later. So fill out that group cruise registration form. Let us know that you want to come and check out, and we will take it from there, and Rand will get up with you. And I think I just realized I didn't share my other screen. Let me go back to this real quick. Here we go. So when it opened a new tab, it didn't show you. But I wanted to show you my handiwork here because I'm kind of impressed with myself that I'm figuring out how to do all these things. Nobody told me when I was going to start sharing my cruising journey on YouTube that I was going to become a renaissance man of the electronics world. So here's my nice little website that I made with pictures. And then if you want to register, you click on the registration button and it'll take you over to that group registration site again. Give Ren all your information. Write down any notes. If you want to put your loyalty number, especially if you're looking at Celebrity or you're looking at the Royal Caribbean's Independence, put that down here so we can go ahead and get you the right pricing for that. Because I know that those discounts, we love them. All right. So, who all wants to come on a group cruise? I honestly, you all know that I end every video with hoping to see you on a weekend sailing soon. And I mean that. I genuinely love meeting you all. And so I've met some wonderful people throughout my times cruising around, meeting you all. Some great people on this cruise. There was one person that was even asking me this weekend, Bernie. Hey, Bernie, if you're out there. Was asking me if I had a Patreon. I've never done anything like that. But what I would love to do is build more relationships with you and have you come on these group cruises with me so that I can see your name. I'll know who you are. But more importantly, I'll actually be able to resonate with, oh, this is such and such that I've met, and now we know more than just your screen name on YouTube and on Facebook. All right, let's come back into our comments here. And there's a lot of them to go through, so I might skip over some of them. Apologies if I don't get to yours. This is a good question. So MSC status match, and I don't know the answer to this. You might be able to reach out to them and find out. I don't know once you status match, if you can then re-status match. So it might make sense to go on your first one without status because Emerald's probably not going to go into anything great. Diamond, however, should get you the next tier up on MSC. So if I was you, I'd probably wait until then unless I just researched it instead of risking it. Yeah, Drew, this is something that a lot of cruise lines I'm learning are really struggling with these days, especially on shorter cruises, is, there's not that many shows and people are actually they're going to see the shows these days. So their apps, again, are not amazing. MSC, Virgin Voyages, I'm looking at you. Your apps are not great. Royal Caribbean, I used to think your app wasn't great, but I've learned otherwise. That your app is actually quite on point. Celebrities is also very similar to Royals as well, so they do a good job. But that helps with the reservations and being able to make sure everything runs smoothly. Aaron, I don't know if there is. I say that. I think Infinity Solstice as well. There's not that much difference between the Infinity and the Summit. They were very similar. I would say that the Summit is more renovated, but the layout of them is all pretty spot on. You know, I would agree with this. If there's a new caster, it's the cast last show. Like when I was on Celebrity this weekend on the Silhouette, it was the cast very last performance that I went to at 9 o'clock. And they give their all when it is their last show. Like they are, number one, so relieved, so happy, but so proud of themselves at the same time for being able to go through this entire process and be there for what, 6, 9 month contracts those singers and dancers get. So I'll go for that. But once upon a time, I can only see it so much. I mean, it came out in what, the 80s, I think is when it came out. You can only watch it so many times. Yeah, thanks for sharing this. I mean, I think this one's up to opinion. And I truly believe that Celebrity may have come down some, but at the same time, all your mass markets also came down some, which to me, that means they would stay premium, though they're not as premium as they used to be, if that makes any sense on my logic there. And again, this is me only sailing 4 times on Celebrity at this point. So I certainly would trust somebody that's been there a lot more. But I feel like all cruise lines have really kind of slipped a little bit. Yeah, getting a lot of people who are agreeing on the seniority on Celebrity. And again, I don't think that that's a bad thing. You just need to know those implications of it's going to be a little bit more sleepy, a little bit more relaxed, no nightlife. Though interestingly, I would say that there was still a good amount of alcohol consumed. Like those people surprised me on how much they could drink. I remember looking around at one point, I was like, "Oh wow, like we're throwing back in here." Okay. And David, this is another good call out too for Celebrity. I think that 7 is probably the max that I saw. They never cluster on Royal Caribbean. The kids move in herds, like they all kind of become like this zombie herd, and they just go everywhere together. You don't see that on Celebrity. You'll be very lucky if you see 10. Hey there, Venezuelan in Texas. Let's see what you got here. I have not been on the MSC Magnifica, but Sig the Solo Cruiser, who was in the chat earlier, is on there today, and she is posting content from it. So if you want information on the Magnifica real time, she's doing some lives from there. I joined her live earlier today where she was talking about the Magnifica. So check her out. I will be there in January, so I don't know when you're coming over to try out the Freedom and try MSC. I'm going to be on the Magnifica. I think it's the second weekend in January. I will be there. So around like the 10th or so. Tony, I think this is probably, if I had to think about it, this would probably be a true statement. It's kind of like comparing Royal Caribbean's new ships to their older ships. You're going to find a demographic shift there as well. And so the Ascent and all of those beautiful Edge class ships, like people cannot stop raving about these ships. So if you have not had an opportunity to try one of them, I wish they did short cruises. I would hope that they take a number up from Royal and they start, they'll kick Reflection out and give us an Edge class ship, because I'd love to check her out to see what all she has. We have Maria done a Disney cruise, but this was pre-Josie, unfortunately. We did it when my eldest niece was a child. We went on Disney back in 2016, 2017, I think. Talk about out of the price range as well. That's not happening anytime soon. Yeah, I think Holland and Viking are where I see, in my mind, and again, never going on them. I'm just, listening to you all. I hear a lot of people talk about the seniority on those ships. So know what you're getting into and set that expectation. Yeah, Chris, this is surprising to me. So Princess, to me, unless you were on a longer sailing, I always thought was a little bit more youthful, but maybe I'm wrong on that. I was thinking it was probably like a 45, 50 and up crowd, because it is a Carnival premium cruise line. And so I feel like the natural gravitation of people on Carnival may be to move up to Princess, but maybe I'm wrong on that. And Chris, thank you for the $4.99. Always appreciated with one of the super chats that you put in there. This is not a cheap hobby by any stretch, so every little bit helps. So that is greatly appreciated. I would try Holland though. I mean, I don't mind going on one of these. I've joked with my mom, who's downstairs, probably watching this live right now with my aunt, about I took her on Virgin. So earlier this year we went on Virgin Cruise Lines, and I was like, you know what? Let's flip the script. Like it'd be pretty neat. Like I did her opinion of Virgin Voyages, being that senior demographic, senior perspective. I think is what the video was called. And let's take me over to Holland. If I could find a short one, maybe we could do a Holland cruise, and now I could be the one that feels like a fish out of water. Just something fun to do. Thank you, Chris. Greatly appreciated on the compliments. This is true. Yeah, no, you're right on that. I wouldn't say that to me that it feels like it's a significant smaller, but you're right. It is smaller than Oasis class. Yep. So I lied on that one. I apologize, everybody. This is why I love comments. You all will keep me honest when I say things that are not true. So Royal Caribbean has made smaller ships. They are still big ships, make no mistake, but they have made smaller ships. Lots of people commenting on Holland. Jen, I think you're spot on with checking out MSC. By the way, I didn't answer somebody's comment on MSC. I think that MSC might be a one-off cruise. So if you haven't joined the group cruise newsletter, MSC, if I find a really good deal, especially for us solo cruisers, you might see me blasting out like, hey, get your stuff together. We're going in 2 months to MSC for a group cruise. That's something that I'd love to do. And I'm always on the hunt for where we can go for a decent price. And I think MSC would be a good budget-friendly option. And a lot of people be open to trying it for a weekend, especially if I can find us an overnight in Ocean Key. Chris, you sound like me on this one. I am booked through, I think I've got a few left at the beginning of 2025, but I'm going through May. Like I've got marked on my calendar the deployment schedule for Royal Caribbean, Celebrity. I haven't found the deployment calendar for MSC or Virgin, so if you have that, like link it down in the chat for me if you would. But I have them marked for when they're going to be extending their schedule, so I can go out there and see what short cruises I can grab, maybe get an inside solo cabin, try to keep that cost down a little bit. One thing I did learn, interestingly enough, I learned this the hard way on MSC. So, and I should have put it in the video, but I didn't know on the key differences between MSC and Royal Caribbean. Did you know on MSC you can't price match? I had no idea. So I was going through my spreadsheet, checking out all my prices, and so I sent it over and said, hey, can I get a price match like the prices come down? They don't do that. They don't price guarantee or price match or allow you to ride the wave down. So once you book, you've kind of locked in. There is, and I say you've locked in, they will allow you to cancel it and start a new reservation. I personally don't think that I'm up for the hassle to save 20 bucks. It's also probably going to take them a while to refund you all the money. Then you have to put down additional funds. So I didn't do it. But that's just something good for everybody to know. If you do, I think it's their Fantasia experience, you get one free rebooking, which in this case you could use that as a price match once it's gone down. The good news is I thought the cruises were already really well priced on MSC, so that's why I jumped on it in the first place. So the sheer fact that it went down another $20 kind of surprised me. But I'm in it. I liked the price when I booked it, and I still like the price, even though it is $20 cheaper now. Mike, if you were going on MSC, I would say, first of all, make sure you don't have a 9:45 p.m. dining time. That was probably my biggest issue I had when I was on MSC was a 9:45 p.m. dining time. And granted, if you have the Bella experience, it's kind of like you're going basic economy on it. You don't get to choose when you go. But if you know that you have a late one, go to the maitre d' first thing. Try to change it. I changed mine after the first night because I was falling asleep at the table. I had indigestion that evening because I went to bed right after dinner. Not a good situation. So I'd say make sure you're doing that. You also want to make sure you're getting reservations for the theater shows. So this is something you may not be familiar with other cruise lines where you don't need it. But on MSC, their theater is small. The stage is huge. It's very wide, but it doesn't fit that many people inside of it. And there's only one floor. There's no balcony. So if you want to make it into a show, they'll have a couple of showings, but you want to make sure that you're getting a reservation through the app and their app is pretty buggy. Stick to it, stick with it. You'll eventually get it. But those are probably the two biggest tips that I have. And take advantage of Ocean Key. Go outside for the sunset. It's my favorite time. I can't stress it enough if you're there for an overnight. You know, Chris, I would completely agree with this. So there was a few folks, being pushed around in a wheelchair mobility device, and I'm going, that right there's some life goals. Like, I want to make it to that. Like, even when I'm not able to walk, I'm not in my health, I still want to be going on cruises, and I hope to be able to find a cruise line that's accommodating for that and find people who want to go with me. That's something that I would really be interested in. Sean Nilsson, I'm not sure who you're asking to book them in there. Aaron, totally agree with this. Freedom all the way. Hands down, my favorite ship. Independence coming in a close second. Let me see here. I've got a few things I need to get to, it looks like. I love it. Come with us. I honestly would love for everybody to come. I'll be pushing out some more. If we get some good groups and I can do this more consistently, I think that that'd be fantastic. But right now, I need a really good showing for these two, and then we can expand to a few more, unless I get that MSC one. Sam, just getting off MSC. What did you think? You know, Sean, I looked at the pools on Celebrity, thought about getting into them, but I never did. But this would have been nice to see if it was heated or not. That is good intel. I know some people who love a heated pool. Cruising with Renee, that is right. So MSC, if you have not cruised with them before, they will status match you prior to going over there. But if your status is going to be changing on like the cruise line that you have, if you're going from Emerald to Diamond, I was saying wait until Diamond and then you'd want to do it. Because I don't know if you status match in, if you can then re-status match to a higher tier after you're already in their system. Yes. So, Tony, great question here. So, a plug again for the group cruises. There are two of them. So, make sure you are checking those out. You're going to the website that is in the description. We are going to be going on the very first inaugural cruise on the Celebrity Reflection on May 3rd, 2024. Would love to have you there. Fill out that registration form. Let us know that you're interested, and we'll get you on board. Change screens for a second. So Sean Nilsson for the $20, thank you. I don't see that coming through, and oh, I'm right before it. Here we go. I want to get to this before you fall off because I don't have a timestamp on here for when you all leave me messages. So I'm worried I'm getting behind. But thank you, Sean. Greatly appreciated. Kimberly, I am jealous for the retreat. I couldn't even get into it. Sometimes I can like sneak into areas and get some filming for you all to show you what it's like. Haven't been able to do that with the retreat just yet, but my eyes are on the lookout for it. Glad you enjoyed your Virgin's cruise there, Sam. And I appreciate your help. The video I made on the pro tips on how to not be a virgin on Virgin or how not to feel like it, or if you are, the joke on Virgin Voyages is if it's your first cruise there, you're a virgin to virgin. And so they talk about that. And the video on the pro tips there, I think, have done really, really well on what you need to know. What are the crucial things you need to know if you are going on Virgin Voyages? Dining 45 days out. Let me go and tell you, that is by far the first one that is out there. And thank you for the $20, Sam. I don't know if you did two $20. If so, double thank you for that. That is greatly appreciated and much too kind. West Coast Cultured, let me see if I am on the Magnifica with you. Pull up my schedule here. Hold on. If so, we'll keep each other company. I am not there then. You're saying you were there on February 12th? Oh, you're there on a Monday. That's why. I'm there on the 9th. So I'll get the ship ready for you. I'll make sure everybody knows that you're coming, and you'll have a blast. So, Chris, my next question is this 4-night cruise Monday to Thursday, or is it Thursday to Monday? Because really the only 4-night that I can do is a Thursday to Monday morning, and Friday needs to be in a port so that I have backup options for Wi-Fi if I'm working remote. Sam, I've seen this online. I Googled celebrity deployment calendar, and it pulled up. I think there were some cruise critic postings is where I was able to find that at. And thank you for this, Chris. You know, it's funny. I am a horrible YouTuber, or Facebooker, I guess, on this one, since I'm doing both. But if you are here and you're watching and you're finding value, make sure you're pressing that like up button. That is something easy that you can do. Like up. Thumbs up button or the like button on Facebook, depending on the platform you're using. Either do the thumbs up or the like button. This is surprising to hear, Maria. I don't think that they heat that water. I think if anything, it's probably just gonna be the sun was probably beating down on it and it got warm. I would hope it's not heated. That just seems weird, but it could be. I've done the slides once on Wonder of the Seas. That is the only slide that I've ever done. One of these days, I'll make a video. I think the series, if I could come up with a series of a frequent cruiser's confessions, because you all have liked several of the content or videos that I've made there where I just talk about what my life is like. I should make a video on like the 8 things that I have never done on a cruise ship. One of those that I've only done one time is a slide. Never done the rock climbing wall either. Thanks for confirming this. So if you are looking to status match with MSC, once you status match, you status match. You're not going to be able to do it again. So make sure you're doing it when you get to the status that you want to match into. Tony coming in with the same information there as well. And you know, Tony, I think that this is a good thing. So he's talking that they have a 3-year rule here. So if you don't cruise MSC for 3 years, they take away your status. I don't think that that's a bad policy. I think if anything, that's pretty forgiving. If you have loyalty to a company, you're going on enough to build a loyalty status, one cruise every 3 years should not be that complicated. If nothing else, I look at Royal and Celebrity's model. They don't even know when people pass away because they stopped going on cruises and they've still got them in the Crown and Anchor Society and they're 125 years old. There's no, unless you call and tell them, there's no way that they know. So the number that they have of members, I'd be curious how they slice and dice that because they don't ever kick anybody out. And good call out, you don't have to status match with MSC for just the cruise lines. I use that because I think that's probably most of us. But the real trick here, and I've learned this through the comments, is you can do it with hotel status. And by hotel status, I mean if your credit card that you pay $500 a month for gives you status in a hotel, you can use that same status to match into MSC. So you do have some options there. Verify 950. We're gonna need you to verify. I'm joking. Thank you for the $2 there. So I have done a Mexican Riviera. I did one about a year ago. I did when the Navigator went over there. So the Navigator was my home ship here in Miami doing weekend cruises for the longest time. And so I knew the Navigator well, knew the crew on there. Love that ship, by the way. And so I went over to, what's the port that it's out of? It's not LA technically. It's, starts with a P, I think. Anyway, I'll come to it. But flew out there. It did a weekend, a 4-night. No, it did a weekend, a 3-night, and then a random 4-night, and then we came back. And so I enjoyed it. So I made a couple of videos on my cruise there and the experience. It was chilly. That was my biggest takeaway there. I think I went in November. And I expected it to be the Caribbean, and it was not the Caribbean. It was quite cold. But I love the Navigator. The prices over there have been pretty good. I would try to do a group cruise over there one of these days. Once we feel like we have a good base over there, I might say, you know what? Let's go over to San Pedro. That's what I was going for. Long Beach, San Pedro. We can go over and check that out. Chris, yeah, this is what I was thinking. Because I think I had seen this one as well. This is the 4 night on Holland America. And every now and again, there'll be these cruise lines like Princess, Holland, Azamara, the cruise lines that I would absolutely love to go on. We'll do a random 3 night cruise. Then you click on it, and it's not a weekend. Who does a 3 night cruise that is a Monday to a Thursday, I guess it is at that point? So this one is a Saturday to Wednesday cruise. I don't get it. Hopefully it's well attended for them. But again, their demographic, I think to our point, is probably more on the retiree side, and they could care less what day it's cruising on or coming back on. All right, let's see. So that looks like I am caught up with the comments. You guys are a beast tonight in the comments. Let's see if there's anything else I want to talk about. Ooh, I wanted to talk about gratuities. Let's jump into that a little bit. That could be fun. So I was going to make an actual video out of this, and I decided not to get myself all worked up over gratuities, and I'll just do it in the live stream here. So I've got a lot of notes on gratuities. And so I'm going to call out specifically Royal Caribbean, only because they're the latest to raise gratuities. But it is not exclusive to Royal Caribbean. I'm going to pick on them a little bit because they're near and dear to my heart. But make no mistake, this is very widespread. This is Norwegian, this is Carnival, this is Celebrity, this is every cruise line that's out there is playing this game. And so I wanted to chat through kind of where it's going to be, and I'm going to use Royal Caribbean as the example to where does this end? Like, where does this actually play out at? Now, the first thing I'll call out is I think one of the reasons why I'm becoming more sensitive to tipping is it is showing up everywhere. It is pervasive in every aspect of our life. And I think that it set a really poor expectation that everybody should be asking for a tip. That's kind of the way that the world seems to be going, right? I mean, somebody was even joking the other day that their self-checkout machine at a grocery store asked them if they wanted to leave a tip. The reason that they do this is because 1 out of 100 times, somebody's going to be like, yeah, sure, I'll give them $1. And so they make money off of it. The reason they ask is because eventually somebody's going to say yes, and that's more money than they had to start with. But I don't like it going everywhere. I've also got some issues with the way Royal Caribbean kind of handles theirs. And I say Royal Caribbean again, this is travel industry wide probably, because it is called a gratuity. But it's really more like a service charge these days. And we'll get into some of the reasons why I think that it's actually more like a service charge. But let's go back in history a little bit. So Royal Caribbean, last time they raised their rates, September of 2022. How do I know this? Because I made a video about it, all fired up on my soapbox, I think is what I called it. But they raised their gratuities. And if you remember, 2 years ago, the gratuities for a traditional room was $14.50. They raised it up to 16% or 10%. Your suites were at $17.50 and they raised that to $18.50. Not too drastic of a raise. That was 2022. That was last year. About this time, we had gratuities that were at $14.50. Fast forward to what they're doing today. They're taking it up to November to $18 or an additional 12% from the 16 it's at. And they're taking the suites from $18.50 to $20.50 or about a 10% increase. Probably should have typed these numbers out. I've got them on the screen here, but I don't necessarily want to show my talking points. So that is a crazy amount, right? So if we think about the actual dollar amount here that this is going to bring in, let's use Oasis class as an example. Let's go big or go home on the example here. Icon, I'm not quite there yet. There's 6,000 passengers on that ship. If it is fully booked and everybody gets into a traditional room, I am not including the suites in this. I'm just going to say everybody's in a regular cabin. That is $750,000 or $750,000 for that one sailing for a 7-night cruise that ship is going to bring in, and hopefully distribute that money out to the crew members. So here's the thing. There's 2.2 approximate crew members on board that ship. If they split this equally, and by the way, we don't actually know how they split this. We get 5 columns where they say it goes to hotel, it goes to service, it goes to food. We don't know where this money is really going. And so if everybody was to take a cut of this, they're going to get $340 every cruise from one person tipping. Or no, excuse me, from all of it. So if they split it equally, they're each going to get $340 per cruise. Or 3, 6, 9, about $1,200 for a month is what they can expect. I don't know if the crew's actually getting this or not. And so that's just one of my concerns, is the lack of transparency that's here. The more that they raise this, the gratuities, the more they charge us, the more I want to see, where's my money going? If you're telling me it's going to the crew members, I want to know which ones. Like, I almost want to see their names. If I was at the dining room, I want to know that my waiter or my assistant waiter, that they got X amount. I want it to that level, because you're charging me a lot of money right now. You're charging me now $18 per day, and I don't know where it's going. That's my money. I'm a little bit more fiscally responsible, and I want to know where my money is going, and that's just not happening right now. So in 1 year of increases, so if we go back to 2022, the traditional rooms, and this is a number that really kind of gets me, has gone up 21%. 21%. What else do you know has gone up 21%? If you're in suites, it's gone up 17% in 1 year. Did you get a raise of 21% last year? Pretty sure I didn't get a 21% raise. If anything, I didn't even keep up with inflation probably. So when I start to see numbers like this, and you're telling me that it's going directly to the crew, it just doesn't necessarily all fit in. I don't know that the crew's well paid or not. If they're just simply trying to say, you know what, we want to make sure that our crew is getting a livable wage, I support that. I am not saying that they should not be making a livable wage. I don't know what they make. I've never, surprisingly, somebody asked me this the other day, I thought it was a great question. I've never heard a crew member complain about their salary that they're getting paid, or their contract rate is what it's called. So what they're being paid, their contract that they signed on for. I've never heard anybody complain about that. Is it lower than what me and you, and in a modern world may consider to be lower? Maybe, but I've never heard them, and I've got some really good friendships. They would have told me. They've never complained about it. And I don't know if that's because they've agreed to it, they signed on to it, it's what they signed up for, and so they're good with it. I don't know, but I've never heard them actually complain that they're not feeling like they're making their worth. I have heard that bar staff, for instance, on the Freedom of the Seas on the weekend, does fantastic. If you're on a more sleepy sailing where people aren't buying as many drink packages, you're not going to make as much because you didn't sell as many drink packages. So I think that there's that comes into it, but I've never heard them saying, that they're not making enough. They see it more as they're not on the ship that's really bringing in the revenue like a weekend cruise does when it comes to the drink package. So the new rate, if you are a family of 4 going on a 7-night cruise, and by the way, Royal Caribbean doesn't have an age limit on it. You can bring a 9-month-old on here, and they're going to charge that 9-month-old the full gratuities. Other cruise lines say you need to be of a certain age in order to really count. Like, you're not causing any problems if you're under, I don't know, what is it, 3? I think NCL does that. But for Royal Caribbean, everybody's going to get the service charge or get the gratuities. For a family of 4, which is not uncommon for Royal Caribbean, that's who they're targeting, right? It's family of 4s and higher. On a 7-night cruise, you are now at $504 of just gratuities to walk off that cruise ship. Before you've bought the internet package, before you've bought drinks, before you've done anything, you are at already a $500 bill before you even set foot on that cruise ship. Which is, I mean, I've heard them at guest services complaining about this, whether or not it's true or not. They don't realize that there's a service charge. They don't know. And I mean, me and you, because we're out here in the cruise vlogging world, we're looking at all these videos, people talking about it. So for us to say somebody went on a cruise and didn't know that they were going to need to pay gratuities seems a bit crazy. But not everybody researches their cruises to the hilt. Some people just show up and want to have a good time, or they booked it direct, or they didn't have a good travel agent to tell them or warn them. And so it definitely comes as a surprise. Hey, I'm looking at my bill like, what the heck? Like $500? I'm sorry, what? That is a big shock, and not everybody can cover that. So I think that the transparency, again, just isn't there even from a guest perspective on it's going to be executed, because people still don't realize it. So why do they do this? Why do we do gratuities versus service charges, or why do they even have it in the first? Why don't they just roll it into the cruise fare and say, look, if we're going to charge you for it, if you're going to be paying our employees anyway, like, let's just bring it all in-house and have one number so you know what you're paying. Thanks for asking. That's a great question. The first reason I'm going to say is it comes down to marketing. Same, somebody made the comment earlier on Princess nickel and diming. This is a very similar thing to that. Marketing, the psychology of sales. Did not go to school for psychology. I have been in and around sales industries though. But they do this because, and I wrote down an example here, which I was kind of stunned when I wrote this down. So let's use your cruise cost $300 per person. You think you got a $300 cruise, except that $300 is really going to be $600. It's double occupancy. You're then going to have taxes and port fees, which are not part of that $300. That's going to be another $120 per person. If you're two people in the room, that's going to be, now your $300 cruise has become $840. If you are buying a drink package, it's not included. Your $75 per day, give or take, or $450 is what you're going to pay for a weekend. Now you're looking at a cruise of almost $1,300. And the list goes on what you can buy between specialty dining, Wi-Fi. They're all one-off because you don't want to think about your cruise costing you almost $1,500. You're comfortable, like $300, like absolutely, that sounds like a great price on a cruise. Only for your cruise to wind up costing you close to $1,500. I mean, the marketing mentality, $300 sounds like a great deal, right? Like you'll sign up for that all day long. But in the long run, you're really going to pay 5 times that much money to go on your cruise. Some places, they would call this deceptive. Some countries would call this deceptive by saying, hey, it costs $300, and oh, by the way, now we're going to charge you port fees and taxes, we're going to charge you gratuities, we're going to charge you for the single supplement. If that's not all budgeted in up front to tell you, hey, if you're buying something, here's what it cost, that's illegal in some countries. Fortunately, it's not here in the US. The good news is this is one of the areas where it gives me hope that the cruise industry can fix this, because you know what? They're already doing this in a lot of countries. The countries where it's illegal, guess what? They're not doing it. Thinking of Australia, I'm looking over at you. They're not allowed to charge you gratuities. They're not allowed to say that the port fees are not included in that price. They've already got the technology to do all this stuff. It's just the culture over here in the Americas is causing them to be able to continue this practice and, have this, I'll call it shady marketing practices that are out there. There's also going to be some additional fees that are included in this. So when we think about the travel agents that are out there, and I love me a good travel agent. You all know this. Use a travel agent if you're not using a travel agent. With that, if they were to roll in the gratuities into the fare of the cruise, they then would have to start paying their travel agents on the gratuities. Today, you may not know this, but your travel agent makes a percentage of what cruise you go on. That's how travel agents get paid, right? It's commission based. So if you buy a cruise from them and you go on that cruise, that's the second part of that. Not just you put down your deposit. You got to go on it. They're going to get paid on that. The cruise line already says, you know what? We don't necessarily want to pay you on the full thing, travel agent. There's this thing called non-commissionable cruise fare, NCCF, where they're going to back out some money and say, yeah, we're going to commission you on everything except this. If they were to roll gratuities in, they would have to increase their NCCF or pay the travel agent out, which is going to cost them money in the long run. This is something that, cruise lines are a company, right? They want to overpay somebody if they don't have to. If they're already paying travel agents a certain rate today, they don't want to pay them more necessarily because of this shift. The second reason why, or I'll say the third reason that you don't see this happening is, or I'll say not necessarily them rolling it into the cruise fare, but even just calling it a service charge at this point, because it's like, call it what it is. It's a service charge, right? We don't know where the gratuities are going. And quite frankly, I don't know that it's all going to the crew members. I don't know that because I can't see where it's actually going. So the reason they won't call it a service charge and just build it in is because service charge then makes it an income and they might have to pay income taxes on it. Now, they're all registered in different countries, so it's not US tax law here, so I'm not certain of this. But I'd be willing to bet that there's a reason why they won't call it a service charge, because it would look like it reflects on their income statement and they would need to pay some taxes on it. So lots of reasons why they're not doing this, but I think my call to action here is, I want corporations to step up and be the bigger person when it comes to tipping. Me as an individual who goes on these cruise ships, I am not going to impact change when it comes to the tipping culture or changing anything like that. I can just talk about it, bring awareness to it. But what I don't want to see happen is, because the cruise rates keep going up or the gratuities keep going up, because the transparency is not there, you know, I'm very torn over, I feel like there's going to be an increase in people not paying their gratuities. Just saying, you know what? That's a bit much. Like, can I opt out? Can I remove my gratuities? And instead of paying $500 and giving that gratuities to the crew, hopefully is where it's going, they're going to remove it and hand pay. And I have a feeling that a family of four is not going to be shelling out $500 worth of gratuities on board their cruise ship for a week-long cruise. They'll be lucky if they probably hit $100 that entire cruise in gratuities. And so I don't want to penalize the poor crew members because it's not their fault. It's not their fault at all that they're in this system, right? It's kind of the world that we all live in and we're trying to figure out. So I am not by any means advocating for people to remove their gratuities because we just don't like the system. What I'm asking or imploring at this point is for the corporations to step up and be the bigger person here. Stop having your guest feel obligated to pay your employees to make sure we're rewarding them for doing a good job, and you take on that responsibility for saying, hey, you know what? You're a really good employee. We appreciate what you're doing for our guests. We're getting all these great surveys from you. I think you deserve a promotion. Or better yet, I think you deserve a raise because you've added so much value to the guest on board our ships. You're making us more money now because you're such a good employee. We want to reward you for that. That's how it should work. By the same token, I, as a guest, don't want to disincentivize a crew member. I don't want to be like, gee, like I got really bad service. Like, I think Jimmy needs to make $15 less this cruise. That's not on me. And some people get confused. If you reward some folks and don't reward others, you're taking money away from them. You're deciding that they should make less. And so that is something I'm very uncomfortable with, is saying you shouldn't make your salary because you did a bad job. You should take a reduction in your pay. I'm not going to give you what I gave the other person in the cruise before because you didn't do as good of a job. That should not be on us, the guest, to do performance reviews, performance evaluations. I should take my concerns to the manager, to the survey, and say, hey, look, this person isn't doing a great job. Like, would you mind stepping in and sorting it, seeing what can happen, and allowing management to manage the employees, to be able to say, hey, look, we're getting some feedback. You're not doing a great job here. Here's some ways we can improve it. Here's what we can do different, and step up and allow them to correct those actions. Or you need to reduce their salary, or you need to terminate them because they're not a good employee at that point. That should not be on me to make sure that they're not making enough money that they finally just want to leave. So I'm not a fan of that system whatsoever, but it is the system that we're in. So I tip. I still tip. I mean, I don't like tipping. I don't like feeling obligated to tip. One person in the comments called it extortion. It's probably not far from it because a lot of these people are my friends, and I honestly feel obligated to tip them. Whether they do good, whether they don't, there is this level of obligation that I feel towards it. And it's kind of a shame that a lot of us frequent cruisers are put in this situation. So there's my rant. With that being said, I thought it would be fun to say, where does this end? Let's play the numbers out a little bit, if you will, because they've showed that they're going to start increasing and continue increasing. When do they stop increasing? So I played the numbers out and just, kind of humored everybody. So this year we went up 18%, right? Next year, let me look at my numbers here, make sure I got this right. New rate, traditional rate. Oh, maybe I deleted it by accident. Did I delete it or move it? I must have deleted it. I did the math and everything. You all would have been proud. I said how much gratuities were going to be in 10 years if they continued at a 21% increase every year. Actually, it's more like a 12% increase every year is really what we're getting. 21's combining a few things. 1 year of increase. Yep, I must have deleted it. I apologize. But that was a really fun number. But with that being said, your $500 for that family of four, I do remember this number, it's going to double. It's going to cost you $1,000 in 10 years in gratuities if this rate of increase continues. Hopefully it'll slow down some, but time will tell on that. All right, so let's come back to the comments. And forgive me on if that was a rant. Tipping is just something that I feel passionately about for whatever reason. Maybe it's because of my corporate job and knowing management and that I don't know what it takes to be a good employee. Like, I don't know if this person's just having an off day, that they're a really strong employee. I don't want to penalize them when, honestly, like, Maybe something went wrong in the kitchen. Something was beyond their control. Or maybe I'm paying somebody, things that keep me up at night, right? I'm paying somebody who is a terror in the kitchen. Maybe, my waiter is giving me amazing service, but then he goes out there, he's cussing out all the kitchen staff, he's, screaming and yelling, he's harassing people, and he's just not a good person. He or she's not a good person. But yet to me, they're lovey-dovey, and here I am giving them money when they're a horrible associate. They're a horrible crew member. And I just get really tore up over I'm not equipped to make these decisions because I don't have the full picture to know if somebody should be making more money or not. That's just me. All right, rant done. Let's go back to the comments now. All right, so let's scroll down a little bit. And Amy, you are spot on. The gratuities do not end with your automatic gratuities. So you would think that would cover you for all of your crews. If you're already paying $500 in your gratuities, family of 4 on a 7-nighter, you would think that would cover you, right? Wrong. Every time you buy a drink, if you buy the drink package, if you get a cupcake, if you buy something at the salon, you're paying an additional 18% every single time. So the amount you're actually going to wind up paying is not going to be $500. It's, actually going to be probably $650, depending on how much stuff you buy. So that is a really good call out there, Amy. Oh, dude, don't get me started on this one. I think that most people have figured this out, though, with Airbnb, because you would see like a room for $30. It looks amazing. And you stay there for one night, then all of a sudden you get a service charge for $70. You then get a cleaning fee, and the transparency just wasn't there. They fixed some of their transparency, at least, where now when you're in Airbnb, and I don't book Airbnbs a lot because they don't have a good quality control for me. I've had too many bad situations there. But they now at least have it where you can filter and say, what is my all-in price? So just include everything, and then I can make an educated decision on what I'm actually going to be paying, not just on the room of it. They kind of shot themselves in the foot a little bit. I think Airbnb is not doing as well because of some of that shady stuff. Chris, not disagreeing with you on take care of people. What I'm saying, though, is it's not my job to financially provide for a crew member. I should be taking care of them by bragging to their manager, putting their name in the survey, telling them how great of a job they're doing, making their life easier in those regards so that the office, the manager can say, you know what, I'm getting a lot of great feedback from this person. He deserves a raise, she deserves a raise, or they deserve a promotion, and we're going to take care of them that way. It shouldn't be up to us to incentivize promptness. I mean, if they're not doing their job, that also needs to be something that the manager is going to be talking about so that they can disincentivize that person in some way, whether it's reprimanding them or taking money away. But I just don't think we should be doing that. But I hear you. It is, and it's part of culture. I know that there are people that are absolutely on the other side of the fence that love throwing out their money when they come on cruises so that they expect better service. And, I think that that's kind of a poor place sometimes for crew to be in when, they feel obligated to support somebody better than the other person. Because the person that's not tipping is going to write their name in that survey and say how horrible they were and how they put everybody else first. So it's a double-edged sword on that. I keep that in mind, Tony, for P&O. I was excited when Celebrity rolled everything in, but they very quickly backed their gratuities back out because the cruise looked like it was a lot more expensive and people weren't booking it. When it really was the same price. Yep, that's a tough one, Brett. Denise was asking earlier too about, short-staffed crew members and all that. Like, we're not getting the same level of service and yet we're paying more. Alan, you're saying it's $3.05 for your stateroom attendant. What cruise line is that? I've only seen percentages on Royal Caribbean at least. I've not asked for it on Celebrity. I imagine they'd give me the same little printout of paper, but I really want to know where it goes versus, I feel like it's stateroom services. I don't even know if it's stateroom attendant. It might be. Stateroom attendants, I will tell you, actually make pretty good money because of this. They do get a lot of money from the automatic gratuities, and they're probably one of the more well-paid crew members on the ship. Crew members, if you're watching this, keep me honest in the comments if I'm misspeaking on that. I've not seen any of your compensation. This is just what I've heard through the grapevine. So, Alan, this is just, I mean, what is other hotel? Who is that? Where's my money going? Dining room, great. Is that my waiter, my assistant waiter, the sommelier? Is it the maitre d', the assistant maitre d'? Is it the chef? Who's getting that? How much are they getting of that? Where's it going? I have questions. And because I don't know where the money is going, conspiracy theories come through my head. And it's unfortunately not tough to believe. This is very true, Chris. Money will definitely get somebody fired up. More arguments have been had over money probably than anything else on the entire planet. Michael, I'm excited for you to be going on Freedom of the Seas. Wait, you're going on December 11? Please hold. Checking my schedule. Flipping over to 2023. I will not be there. You're going on a Monday too. What is up with everybody going on midweek sailings? I want to be able to meet you and say, hi, Michael. But alas, I will again be there the weekend before you, getting off that Monday. So I will prepare the ship for you as well, just like I was the prior person. Cocoa Beach Club. So I just went through and booked Hideaway Bay or Hideaway Beach for the first time, which isn't a beach, but anyway. So I booked Hideaway for the Black Friday sales. If you've not checked your cruise planner, there are some decent sales right now. I think they're still figuring out the pricing of Hideaway, which is probably why it was cheaper. But I'm hearing people getting that for $30. I booked it for $34 on top of it. So I'm willing to pay $34. And that was on sale. I think it was actually like a $60 price is what it was going for. Coco Cay Beach Club, though, on the other hand, like the real posh one, was not on sale, and it was going for $130 a person. Yeah, no, I'm good. That's port fees and taxes on another ship, so you're not going to see me over there. And I'll be surprised. I mean, unless there's some kind of a real differentiating factor between Oasis Lagoon and Hideaway Beach, I don't know why anybody would pay more just to be able to be able to eat pizza. Like, that is really going to be the only difference over there and have a nicer environment. But if it's going to have a DJ, it's going to have a swim-up bar, it's going to have the same things that the Oasis Lagoon has, why am I going to pay for it? So I'm still curious how Oasis Lagoon is going to transform through this. Is it going to stay the same? Or are they going to say, look, these experiences are very similar to each other. So Oasis Lagoon, in my opinion, will probably become more kid-friendly, if I had to guess. But nobody said anything like that. Just things that, you know, run through my mind as I do what I call these thought experiments on what could be in the future. I love just brainstorming and saying, what would Royal do? What would I do if I was in this situation? So we'll see. All right, and I am all caught up with comments. Last call. Hideaway, no kids. You are absolutely right on that. And so I actually put it out in one of my old videos. Kimberly, you'll appreciate this. I was like, I wonder if Royal Caribbean's policy or their system is smart enough not to sell a Hideaway beach package to adults with children on board. And somebody responded to me like, yep, I can book Hideaway Beach for both of us. Can't take my kids, but I can book it. So I'll be really curious to see how many people actually wind up doing that and, you know, drop their kids off at the Oasis Lagoon and go do something else. Hopefully they're wise enough not to do that, but time will tell. Yeah, Cocoa Cay Beach Club, for the price these days, the food's good. But I would say that I don't see $130 per person value. So if you're a couple, which most people are, that's $260. I don't know that I see the value in that either, Jen. By the way, Jen, you're hanging in there. You were one of the first commenters, and here you are being one of the last ones too. Well done. Should I go on the longer or the shorter cruise? Ooh, I mean, Virgin is a great cruise line. And when you say longer, shorter, I think you only have you have a 4, a 5, and a 7 here out of Miami. I don't know that they offer anything really longer than that. Most of them are going to be 4 and 5 with a few 7s thrown in there, when Valiant Lady comes over, I think she's going to start doing more 7 nights, and she'll run out of Puerto Rico for a little bit out of San Juan. But I mean, honestly, that's up to you. I think that she is a great experience. If you go for a shorter one, like a 4-night, you're going to feel a little rushed. The restaurants are fantastic, and you're going to want to make it to all of the restaurants. So just on that, I would say try to do at least the 5-night, which I like. I like the 4-night itinerary better because it goes to Key West, but the 5-night is still fine. It's going to go to Puerto Plata, and it's going to go to Bimini and have a sea day in there. But I would recommend doing the longer one. I mean, start with a 5 if you can, and if you want to go up to a 7, you probably still enjoy it. But that way you won't feel rushed because the dinner times and the show times don't always align. It can be just one of the things for me. Glad you're enjoying it. I am actually liking doing these midweek a little bit more and getting it out of the weekends. And if nothing else, I've got more of you all that are tuning in and listening, which is fantastic. Courtney, Bimini Beach Club, I'm going to assume that you're talking about a Virgin Voyages cruise here because they do have the exclusive use of the Bimini Beach Club when you are there. Royal Caribbean does not. So if you go on Royal Caribbean, you go to Bimini, which more of them are going to Bimini these days, you're not going to have access to the beach club. I don't know that World Resorts even sells a pass where you can do that. I didn't make it off the ship 2 weekends ago when I was there. But that's something I'll have to research. If you go with Virgin, though, you'll have full access to the beach club. There is no upcharge. If you're in a Rockstar or you're in a suite, you have access to the Rockstar area, which is not an upcharge because you already paid for it to get on the cruise. They will have some cabanas and some day beds that you can rent out, but it's not a separate section, if you will. It's just a nicer seat that you can rent out. Interestingly enough, if you pay for their beach beds there, I think they were going for like $300 or $400. They'll give you $100 in sailor loot that you can use, or sailor bar tab, I think it is, that you can use towards alcohol either on the island or when you get back to the ship. So the one thing with Virgin, they kind of take the opposite approach to, I was talking about the marketing where they have everything as cheap as they can get, and by the time you sign out, you're, paying so much money. Virgin's kind of taken a little bit backwards approach to that. Virgin's all about charging you a lot up front. So their premium cruise line, you're going to pay more to get on Virgin. It's going to roll everything in there. You're going to have gratuities. You're going to have basic Wi-Fi. You're going to have sailor loot. So they run all these discounts where they'll give you $300 towards sailor loot, if not even more. Bar tabs, all that great stuff. So they're going to charge you more, but then they're going to throw in the whole kit and caboodle. I actually like that approach. I like knowing what we have. I think they may overdo it with giving a little bit too much that I don't use, but you can find some really solid deals over in Virgin Voyages. I know they've got a Black Friday special. They reached out and said, hey, if you want to talk about this, sure. So if you're looking at booking Virgin Voyages, especially if you're going direct, use the affinity link that I have in the description section down below. But they're doing a really popular Sailor Loot giveaway if you're booking with them. And so that's going to allow you to go shopping, get a massage, and buy alcohol with on their ship. By the way, no service charge. So when you see that, normally their drinks are like $10 or $11. There's no 18% on top of that. So it's already built into it. The drinks are really reasonably priced to start with. Just some good stuff to know there. Hope that helps there, Courtney. Pam, same here on the weekday stream. You all normally don't make it on the weekends too much, or actually get to stick around. You've been here for a long time too. So Pam is one of our weekend cruises, very similar to Jen that I was just chatting with earlier, who are fantastic people, by the way. Can't wait to see them again. I know both of them have signed up for a few of the cruises already. So if you want to come and meet me, meet them. We're going to have us a great time. You're going to make some friends then. Going through $300, especially if you're doing a 4-night sailing, Courtney, I don't know how long you're doing. You're going to have some effort to go through your bar tab there. One neat little kitschy thing that they do on Virgin Voyages is their app. If you have your phone out and you shake your app, it will know your location. It'll, use your Bluetooth and send it to their network, and they will bring you a bottle of Veuve Clicquot for probably about that $300 if I had to guess. So be careful with shaking your phone. You might go through your $300 in one go-to in the hot tub. That's where I see most people doing it, interesting. They shake their phone in the hot tub for the champagne service there, which I think is a neat idea. But have fun, enjoy. They do a lot of cool solo meetups too. So I'm hoping to get back on Virgin and talk more about the solo meetups they do. So the first day, they'll do some at the their aft section. I forget the name of it, but they do. What is the name of this? It's where the net is and you can look down. Anyway, go there. You'll meet a lot of great people. They'll then do dinner with a communal table for the first night, and they'll do a few more solo meetups that are hosted. I think that's the key to it, is they actually have the hostess there that, hosted, and they get to know everybody and play interactive games. So it's a really good cruise line to go on if you are a solo cruiser, especially going on your first solo cruise. They'll also say if it's your first solo cruise and you don't want to go by yourself, not everybody's going to want to go with Virgin and meet other people, but if you want to go and get the best of both worlds, come on one of our group cruises. So check out the Celebrity May 3rd on the Reflection. Check out the Independence of the Seas with Royal Caribbean on September 26th. That is a great way for you to dip your toe into the solo cruising waters. So you'll still get to do your own thing, get your own cabin, be your own person, and you'll get to have dinner with an amazing group of people, if I do say so myself. You'll be able to go to the shows with us, all if you want to. The great thing with going on group cruises with us is, look, we're grown people. We are not trying to do something that we don't want to do, especially if I'm a solo cruiser. You saw in one of my last videos, like, I will leave a show. If I am not enjoying it, I'm walking out the door. I'm not sticking around for it. So if you want to come with us and for whatever reason you don't like the activity, you don't want to do it, or maybe you're just a really quick eater, you finish up dinner and you want to head out, nobody is going to look at you twice because you're doing what you want to do. And that's what it is all about when you come on a weekend cruise or group cruise. It's having a blast the way you want to, but having the ability to also get to know some amazing people along the way. So things to keep in mind, solo cruisers, if you want to come with us, I would love to have more solo cruisers and eventually probably do more solo dedicated ships or sailings. Not that I think that I'll ever turn away couples by any stretch, but I could market them to solos and find more solo cabins for us to go in. I personally would just enjoy that. It's very true. I mean, I think you do find a lot more responsible people that go on Virgin. Though, trust me, people on Virgin can drink too. They absolutely can, but it's different. And by not having that drink package, you definitely don't have that obligation of, I got to get my money's worth. So you don't see people shooting the moon. I call it the curse of the first night, where people took the 6 a.m. flight in, they went straight to the ship, they got on the ship and said, you know what, or when they're on the way to the ship, they didn't have breakfast, they didn't have lunch because they're getting to the ship. They want to get their money's worth. They get to the ship, they realize they've got the drink package, they go straight to the bar and start drinking, forgetting that they woke up at 3 o'clock in the morning, haven't eaten anything, and now they're drinking, their first drink of the day. It ends very, very poorly most of the time when that happens, because there's no way that you can make back up when you haven't eaten anything and your sleep schedule's been all thrown off. The curse of the first day strikes people all the time, especially on the weekend cruises. Yeah, keeping solo cruising in check with budgets, that's something I'm personally getting better at these days. I'm going to make a video for next year, for 2024. It is budget cruising for Brandon. So I know you all got used to seeing me in these really nice rooms. That is not happening in 2024, with the exception of one room that's going to be super nice. 2 rooms that are going to be super nice. But the rest of them, $250, $300. Like, I have found some really good deals and I am here for it, because the only things that limit me are my vacation days and how much money I have. And so if I can keep those two things in check, we're going to be in really, really good shape. So more to come on that, Kimberly. It can be expensive. I'm going to try to plan some group cruises and keep you all up to date on where I'm finding the deals, but it's good to know. And you're talking about meeting people. If that is something you want to do, not every solo cruiser wants to meet people, right? There's some people that say, Brandon, I just want to do my own thing. Like, I don't want to talk to nobody. I don't want to have dinner with anyone. I want to blend in with the crowd. You can absolutely do that. But if you want to meet people, being a solo cruiser is an ideal way to do it, because even if you go with one other person, if you go with 2 people, you become insular. Like, you don't mean to, but you just talk to each other. There's no reason for you to branch out of your shell or to have other people come up and talk to you because you're already engaged in a conversation. So it's much easier to meet people, if that's what you like doing, as a solo cruiser than if you're with a group of people. When you're with a group of people, you got to be a lot more intentional on branching out and meeting people. Yeah, Brett, the interior that I did on the Summit, absolutely fantastic. I loved it. I was taking notes. I was like, I could do, because you all know I don't need a big house. Like, I could stay in a condo that's about 300 square feet, I think. If I'm only there for like 3 days at a time, it'd be fine. It'd be cheap. Then I could go on more cruises. The fun part. All right, so last call for questions. We are coming into the top of the second hour. So thank you all for hanging out with me tonight on a wonderful Tuesday. Hopefully this is a slower week for all of you with work. You're enjoying your family. You're enjoying Thanksgiving here in the U.S. But I look forward to hearing from all of you later on. Sign up for those group cruises. Get on the newsletter. I can't wait to meet you all in person. If I could leave you with anything, consider it. Consider coming and chatting with us. I would love to see you all on one of the group cruises. And the more people we get, I just think the better it's going to be, especially the Independence of the Seas one. We've got 2 sea days. When we do the reflection, we're in port both days. We can do so much with the sea days and have so much fun. I've got so many ideas, but hopefully I'll have some of you to come and appreciate it with us. All right, everybody. So I'm going to call it a fantastic night right at the 2-hour mark. It's amazing how I seem to always just make it to 2 hours. I don't plan on it, but here we are. Thank you for coming and hanging out with me. I'm always super humbled and grateful that you would choose to spend your time with me this evening. And it has been great talking with you, chatting with you, and I'm hopeful I'll get to see you on a weekend cruise soon. Bye, everyone.